disregarding the warnings. Failing to see the signs, he rampaged through life as if there were no such thing as a reward or a consequence. Consequently finding himself encaged like the animal his 7th grade teacher said he was. Mama said it was because daddy never came around. Thought of all those times he would act the clown when he should have been learning. Kinda got his wheels a turning, thinking no one really cared. No one shared with him soft hugs and simple smiles. No encouragement to do the next right thing. No one to help him understand his pain, so he just became angry. A menace to everyone who crossed his path. Every day became the wrong day, the wrong time. Just angry at a world that buried him under self-doubt, shame, and sadness. Good day became a sign of weakness, so he just became angry. Angry at a world that would prejudge him, condemn him without ever hearing his story. Never allowing him to use his voice, laying out options yet claiming he had a choice. To do what? His manhood would talk through the eyes of suburban teachers, taught to view their students with contempt. Teach them to sit quietly, speak not unless spoken to, do what you're told to do. Regardless of your dreams, you're supposed to be a criminal. Tell time in terms of years, 5 to 10, 10 to 20, life. Never 9 to 5 or annual income or career. Listen strictly to the music you hear. Be hard to your core, disconnect from life, right? Just be angry. Just be angry.
Tell me why you gotta be
So he was angry. He was angry at his reflection and anything that resembled it to the core. So what more could this world do to him? He lived his life in pain, an animal in a cage since the 7th grade, and you wonder why. Why he's so angry. So damn angry.
Speak to me, my brother, my sister. Tell me why you gotta walk around with your head down. Don't wanna talk to nobody. Just explain to me why you gotta be so angry.
And then that night, he heard a voice. It said, I am your past. The memories you suppressed, the strength you've yet to use. I walked in your shoes. I've shed your tears 75 years before you were even considered. I've witnessed lynching, race riots, Jim Crow, and some things worse. I've watched good men die in your name in hopes that when you arrived, you would understand why we survived for you, stayed alive for you, and stronger men will retire to their graves. Remember us. Every time you think you cannot, remember that we did, and when you fall, we will catch you. We got you. We always do.
Just explain to us why you gotta be so angry. Hey mama, tell me why you gotta walk around so angry, so upset all the time, always crying. I can help him why he gotta be so angry. See my Lord, I know the world get turned upside down, but why you gotta be so angry? Just drop to your knees at times. Get up out your mind. Let God into your mind. He explained to you, why explain to me why you gotta be so angry.
My name is D.Moss. This is Monday Night Live, and we have tons of guests tonight. We're about to get into some serious conversations. I'm digging the folks we have on because when you talk about, speaking truth to power. I think all three of these guests have proven that they can do that and do that consistently on a regular basis. So joining us tonight on 90.7 WTCC, if you're driving in your car, you might want to pull over or tighten up your seatbelt. Pick your weapon. Here it is. We have City Councilor Tracye Whitfield, we have City Councilor Justin Hurst, and we have City Councilor Victor Davila. There are a few things that they're going to discuss with us tonight, and folks need to pay attention. So with that being said, Tracye, I'm going to go ahead and let you lead off. You, Justin, or Victor, whoever wants to jump in. Let's talk about what we're talking about tonight. Y'all can take it. Let's see where it goes. Let's inform the public.
Hey, D.Moss, thanks for having us. I'm so excited to be here. I ain't really into the small talk right now. That's what she said, right? We got to level up, right? No, but basically, we just here to have a discussion about merit pay for the school department. You know, all of them that done great work, paraprofessionals, substitute teachers, custodians, principals, the faculty, staff, people in the administration. We just want to talk about why it's important for all the staff on the school side to also get merit pay. They did wonderful work, still are doing wonderful work. As my colleague, Councilor Davila, was saying, we're still in the midst of the pandemic and they're still doing the work, yet no merit pay.
Wow, that's critical. Okay, and that's something that we need to talk about. We talk about merit pay. I mean, labor is worthy of his hire. If they do great work, they should be compensated aptly, correct?
That is correct.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, there's been before we get into it, there's been a series of emails. I know about a couple of weeks ago, you guys, I think it was you, Justin, and Victor, who had sent a letter or an email to the mayor. You want to talk about that? Or
yeah.
am I going too fast? I'm a little anxious.
No.
No.
Okay.
I'm about to say I'll defer to Councilor Whitfield in terms of whether you're going too fast or not. But I'll certainly speak to the letter, which was authored by myself, Councilor Whitfield, as well as Councilor Davila. But I mean, the gist of the letter was exactly what Councilor Whitfield just highlighted. And we know that there are a number of people who are in the trenches. Being a former educator myself, I know what it's like, to be in front of, kids and how difficult it is just to teach in general. And now you look at the fact that, our teachers, our paras had to transition from being in school to being remote to being back in school. And, that's just a heavy lift. And then when you start looking at all of the folks behind the scenes that allowed them to be successful in that transition, IT, custodians who were cleaning the fire stations and the police stations, our nurses who certainly were on the front lines, just seems to me that they ought to get compensated. And so while we know that the school department and the money that the school department received cannot be used for merit pay, what we do know is that the city of Springfield got $123 million, and that money can be used for merit pay. And while our mayor certainly oversees the city side, he also is the chair of the school committee. And so it would seem to me that if he's going to pay just about all of his non-bargaining employees, which, that's a whole nother topic, at the very least, he should give some consideration to those individuals who are educating our students and certainly putting themselves at risk, even currently.
Absolutely. Okay.
And just to back it up a little bit, we sent an email around about September 8th. And because once the non-bargaining employees merit pays came out, I look at the teachers and the educators as essential workers because they did so much for me and my family when the kids went back to school. And for those that don't know, my family has custody of my 4 nieces and nephews. So they were all in school all at the same time. And I relied heavily on the administration and the staff, the IT department, the teachers and the principals. And they always came through. Even when we had to pick up supplies, laptops got broke, all types of things happened. So we started getting a lot of questions about merit pay or essential pay. And I'm like, I didn't know the answer. So around about September 8th, we sent the email asking the superintendent and the finance department on the school side if the teachers were eligible, or let's just say the school department was eligible to get merit pay. And at that time, we were told ARPA funds couldn't be used. The ARPA funds that was received on the school side couldn't be used for merit pay. And so Councilor Hurst and Councilor Davila took it a step further and started asking additional questions. Well, can it be used on the school side? On the city side to pay for the school side? And the answer was just yes. And so we all got together and decided to write a letter. But once we sent the email, I think maybe like 2 weeks after that, the mayor published that he was going to give, I think, nurses and some tradesmen from the school department that worked on the city side merit pay or hazard pay.
Okay.
A really reactive instead of proactive response.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that would have even been considered if Councilor Hurst didn't send that initial email?
Oh, hell no.
I'm sorry, Victor?
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I just kind of reacted to your question, Daryl. Before I answer your question, please allow me to say that it's a
Absolutely.
pleasure to be here. First time in the show. Excellent intro. I was bebopping my head back and forth with the music. It was beautiful. But no, the answer to your question is hell no. Councilor Hurst, kicked off the ball, and everything is kind of falling after that. And I just want to add to what both Councilor Hurst and Councilor Whitfield have said, that first, the ARPA money, or the American Recovery Plan Act, has to be allocated by 2024. So it doesn't have to be spent, it just has to be allocated. So there's still time for this to happen. This is not over. And so we still got time to fight for the teachers, plenty of time, by the way, and the firefighters. And I do have to add, one of the concerns that I have is not only about what I think is the inherent injustice that I see, that we are not giving our teachers and the support staff the money that they deserve, because as Councilor Whitfield rightly pointed out, we're asking them to teach in the middle of a pandemic. And we now have a different Delta variant, and so this is not over, And so on top of that, it is my understanding that the teachers have requested twice already to meet with the administration, and they have not done so. That concerns me greatly. I also, my understanding with the fire departments, they were looking to sit down with the administration, and they have also gotten no response. So I am very concerned with how this is being handled. You said in your introduction, we speak truth to power. It's something that I take seriously, and that I will continue to do so. I don't care how much heat I get, how much incoming fire I get, because you're for the right thing to do, and believe me, we will continue fighting on this righteous issue.
Question for you, man. Just point of clarification. When you say they requested, two different groups requested to meet with the administration. When you say meet with the administration, are we talking about Dan Warwick, or are we talking about the mayor?
My understanding is with the firefighter is the city hall with the mayor's office, and with the teachers, I know that they contacted the mayor directly.
And the mayor did he meet with either group?
That's my understanding. Unless Councilor Hurst and Councilor Whitfield, you have anything to add? My understanding is they have not, as of yet.
Wow, that's a tragedy.
Accurate.
Okay, that's a tragedy.
Well, I don't know. I don't have anything to add to that, but I did want to add that it's disappointing when the superintendent of the Springfield Public Schools oversee a little over half of the schools, because the other half is probably in the empowerment zone, and yet didn't meet and excel or exceed expectation on his review, yet got a bonus. When the teachers and principals, no one in the school department at the time got any raises or bonuses. It was still during COVID. And I don't understand how that is allowed to happen. Now, what I do know is the ones who voted against the bonus were school committee woman Denise Hurst, school committee woman Latonia Naylor, and school committee woman Barbara Gresham. At the time, Maria Perez Peter Murphy, Mayor Sarno, and what's the last one's name? I think the Ward 7 school committee mayor.
Or not Tim Collins, Chris Collins.
Yeah, Chris Collins voted
Chris Collins
voted to give this increase. And I just don't understand how he could even accept a raise when your staff is working so hard, yet none of them are getting raises or bonuses or merit increases, whatever we want to call it. They're not getting any additional pay.
You know, Daryl, if I may just interject quickly.
Absolutely.
Councilor Whitfield just jogged my memory. Listen, I will never hate anybody for getting a couple of extra beans. Meaning that the extra money you get, more power to you. We all know that it's difficult out there, and everything you can get in your pocket, God bless you, as long as it's done the right way. However, one of the things that bothers me tremendously is, my understanding is, all the department heads got 5 Gs.
Right.
Do they deserve them? Yeah, well, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt and say yes. But then why are you going to turn around and penalize the people in the trenches working? Classic example, the cops. God bless the cops, right? They approve this, and my feedback talking to the rank and file is that they're upset that they could have gotten more and they didn't, and that, of course, they get adjusted if they were out of work. You know, and so why are you taking money out of the workers, but yet you're giving the department heads the full bounty here? I find that troubling. I find that very troubling. And by the way, they could have gotten more than $5,000, and this $5,000 is just arbitrarily set by the mayor. He did not talk to anybody. He just came up with a number out of the sky, and unfortunately, he had the authority under this ARPA money to do so.
Yeah.
But, come on, you know, we can do a little.
Well, I guess I have a question. Go ahead, Justin.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, just to piggyback off of what Victor was saying. I mean, I think people need to realize that as it relates to ARPA funding, we as a city council approved the entire $123 million. That's as far as our purview as city councilors goes. We can make recommendations, we can make suggestions, but in terms of the actual spending of the money, it rests with the mayor and the mayor's administration. And the other, point that I want to make is that what was frustrating for me was the back and forth. On one side, the superintendent is saying it's the mayor's issue. On the other side, the mayor's saying it's the school department's issue. And I think at the end of the day, all they wanted us to do was to stop asking questions and say, you know what, we're going to continue to proceed business as usual as though that was acceptable. And that's why I give the Councilor Davila and Councilor Whitfield just a ton of credit for this stick-to-itiveness, and just saying that that's not acceptable. We're not going for that. You're the mayor, you're the leader of this city, you can make it right. And similarly, the superintendent ought to be able to work with the mayor if he wants to see his people get compensated and say, how can we make this work? And in every email that we sent them, they just dodged because they didn't want to answer the question. The superintendent should be knocking at the mayor's door saying, my teachers, my paraprofessionals, my custodians, etc., deserve this money. And he failed to do so.
Yeah.
And it's not as if it's a complex process, because if I'm not mistaken, the superintendent and the mayor have a very, very, very good working relationship. So I just want to throw it out there. Go ahead, Tracye.
I was just going to reiterate, the door was beaten down when it was time for him to get his raise. Now, I agree with Councilor Davila. We all need it. But when you're close to $300,000 and you got principals on the 90,000 and teachers on the 70,000 range, you answer me, who needs it the most? Who needs it the most? And that's what we need to be considering here. you know? And then we have some of our opponents out here that's saying, oh no, we shouldn't publicize, we shouldn't write press releases, we should be having closed door conversations, and that is why the city is in the predicament that it is in right now, because no transparency in the closed doors conversations. That time is over for me. I'm putting it all on the table, and those that cannot deal with it, well, I'm sorry. But the backdoor conversation days are over with.
It is. I mean, when it comes down to elected officials, everybody needs to be held accountable, correct?
Yes.
And it is about accountability, and you can't do that with closed door meetings, and you can't do that when you're using language that the general public won't quite comprehend the way everybody else does. It's different when you can see the budget. Someone sent me a complete listing of everyone in the city that received a bonus. So I know last year when people were marching, talking about Black Lives Matter, we talked about the issue of equity across the board in the city. And when I went around that, when I read that list down, and we still got people going through it because we want to try and note how many Black and Latinos had received those $5,000 pots. I know there are folks in housing who worked all throughout the pandemic. They were on the street working with the homeless, never received a bonus, and they weren't considered essential. So there are a number of people that were not considered. But let me go back to school department. I just want to throw it out there. That's a sidebar. We'll come back to it. You guys are city councilors, all three of you. We have a former city council president. We have the current vice president. We have Victor. Is this a conversation you guys have discussed with the school committee members? Because I know they talked about the school surveillance, but I didn't hear anything about the teachings. And I'm not trying to throw any rocks at school committee members. Why do you guys feel this is important enough to cross that bridge and say, you know what, we're going to take on the plight for the educators to make sure they have a voice?
Well, if I may, Daryl, I personally had a conversation with at least one member.
Okay.
I got to tell you that I thought I was going to be skinned alive myself. And so my feeling is that they were like, this is our territory. This is our purview, which it is in terms of because the individual unions, they have to, by law, they have to bargain with the school committee. And so I get that. But to think, like anybody in the right mind to think that we, the city council, are the ones that approve the budget, which the Springfield budget is $797 million. Of that, $426 million goes to the school department. Anybody who thinks in their right mind that I, Councilor Victor Davila, and my colleagues are not going to have an opinion on that is just straight out of their mind.
An educated opinion, because you have an opportunity. You guys get to thoroughly vet that budget from top to bottom, correct?
Absolutely. So,
okay.
So to answer your question, so my feedback I got was like a little apprehensive, and so, but you know, that's not going to keep us. And again, they have not answered the unions and the teachers on these, and right now we're just waiting to see what they're going to do.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give the hard truth. You know, sometimes it hurts to hear, but it got to be said. The people that come to me says you do things. We hear you. You will put it out on Front Street. We're not getting that from some of our school committee members. And so I don't care what role people think I should play. I don't get put in a box. I'm going to speak out on what's right. And if the other folks want to join in and we could do it collectively, it's power in numbers. Let's all work together to get it done. But I'm not going to be quiet because I'm scared to lose a vote. I'm not going to be quiet because somebody might get mad. I'm not going to be quiet because, you know, I might get isolated, blackballed, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to be quiet for those things because I'm here for all people. And I don't care if they're an educator. I don't care if they're homeless. I don't care if they're a child. I don't care if they're a business owner. If you come to me and I have any authority, any power, I can use my mouth and I can ask questions. And as long as I can do that, I'm going to do that. And so people came to me, Daryl, I'm going to ask the question.
Gotcha. I think that's leadership, right? Go ahead, Justin.
I was going to say, you guys are going to get me in trouble on this one. I think it was a hybrid issue. I think it was an issue where, you know, you certainly needed some pressure from the city council, which we typically do. Certainly, a few of us on the council do. And my hope is that, the school committee members who I know support this will be pressing on the back end. This is not an issue that's going to go away anytime soon. My hope is that it'll go away, and the end result will be folks get their merit pay. But if that doesn't occur, my hope is that there will be pressure applied by the school committee in the coming weeks and months. And so I'd imagine that they are like us, and that they're waiting to see what the mayor's response is to the demand letter. And I think, right now, and I don't know if they're aware of it, I certainly haven't had the conversation as we just came out of a meeting this afternoon that highlighted the fact that the mayor has yet to respond on 2 attempts. My hope is that once the school committee gets that information, that they can start applying the pressure on their end. So I think it's an excellent opportunity for ourselves, as well as the school committee, to work together to really push this issue. But, at the end of the day, folks, there's an election coming up. And folks need to identify who is supportive of this issue and who isn't, and vote accordingly. And I know it was asked on one forum, and I certainly heard my wife, school committee woman Denise Hurst, as well as Latonia, were very clear in saying that they were for merit pay for these individuals. Now they're not always as loud as some of us are on the city council. I get that, and I'll speak for my wife briefly. That's not necessarily her style, but we have to figure out what is going to work to accomplish the objectives that we all have and what we want to see happen.
And let me clarify that too, because I wanted to say that different people work differently. I've never been quiet. Daryl, we worked together, and I wasn't quiet then, and I kind of got the same treatment you got for running my mouth. I'm gonna put it all out there. We're putting it all out there, like the closer. I'm gonna put it out there, things happen, and so different people work differently. So I'm not saying that people are not working behind the scenes.
Right.
What I'm saying is, folks see Justin and I and Victor out here a lot, and so they'll come to us. And we do talk to the school committee members and things like that. But I have my own voice, and I have my own style. And my style is to put it right in your face on Front Street, ask the questions, and get the response for myself. I'm not doing all this behind the scene. I'm going to put it out there and answer it, because I try to go to the administration and have conversations, and I've been shot down on more than one occasion. And so if you're not going to talk to me in private when we can hash it out, then we're going to talk in public. But this conversation is just not going to die because you don't want to talk about it.
All right, and just for the sake of clarity, let me just say this: not trying to create any tension between the two bodies. I just want to make sure people understand why the three of you are bringing this out, and we're talking about this right now, because some conversations should not be held in private. It has nothing to do with the school committee members. Just for those who say, well, that's a school committee issue, they're city councils. I just wanted to make sure people understood that as councils and elected officials, you can't live in a box, you can't operate in a box. If it's going to impact the quality of life for your constituents, and a lot of those are educators who still live in the city, who work hard, they commit their lives to work with our young people, then they should be rewarded just like everybody else. Correct me if I'm incorrect. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think that's the most important statement.
Okay.
It's going to trickle down to our students. I have 4 of them in the Springfield Public Schools. Justin has 2. It's going to trickle down to our students, because who's going to want to work for an administration that's not showing them their worth, right?
Well, I would say to you, so we're trickling down. I think, Councilor Whitfield, you were concerned today on one of the meetings that I believe Chestnut Middle School, right?
Commerce.
Commerce is down, what, 70 teachers or?
57 is what I heard. 57. I don't know if it's just teachers, but it's staff overall that left.
That's
From what I know.
Hold on, stop for a second. Did you say
That's from what I know. I'm getting clarification.
So word on the street is it's unconfirmed, but we're looking at one school being down almost 57 teachers or 57
I'm gonna say
Staff.
faculty and staff. I'm not just gonna say teachers.
Okay.
It could
Okay.
be staff too. I'm getting clarification. I did ask the finance department on the school side to give us that number.
Okay.
But it's a lot of schools that's struggling because of different reasons.
Gotcha.
And yeah.
Got you. Now, Anissa Lynch says, are the merit funds in the budget accounted for if the mayor continues to ignore the public again? Can the budget be easily audited by the city council? How does that work? Where do we go from here?
Sounds like a Justin question.
Repeat that question.
Okay,
for me.
I'll repeat it. All right. Anissa Lynch says, are the merit funds in the budget accounted for if the mayor continues to ignore the public again? Can the budget be easily audited by the city council? What can you guys do if the mayor doesn't do due diligence? What can the city council do? And second part, I'm gonna throw a piece in. What can we, the public, do? I mean, I'm a taxpayer. I own a business. I own a home. I own property. What can we do to hold, the administration accountable? So for all these folks who are watching or listening in their car, what can they do to assist you, Justin, Tracye, and Victor?
So that, I mean, there was a lot there, D.Moss.
My bad.
I was about to say, I think you could speak just as much as we could in terms of how it is that, folks, get their point across in terms of what it is that they're concerned with. I mean, you can call the mayor's office. You can send the mayor emails. You can reach out to the superintendent. You can write letters. You can call your city councilors. You can call your school committee members. You can do a variety of different things to put the pressure on them to say, this is what I'd like to see happen. I encourage everybody who's listening or watching, this on Facebook Live to do just that if you're really concerned. From a city council standpoint,
Okay.
We can make noise. That's what we do. I remember when Elizabeth Warren, I was upset about the COVID money, or not COVID money, the testing sites and the what was it? And the vaccination clinics.
Yeah.
And the whole PPP, not PPP. What is it, Victor?
PPP.
God, I'm having it. It's too late for me. I'm Mass, and everything else that was supposed to be coming to the city of Springfield and Western Mass, it wasn't coming. And so she held the forum, and she wanted to hear from us what was it that we needed. And I asked her, what can we do? And she said, the biggest thing that you can do is make noise and scream as loud as you can at the top of your lungs until folks listen. And I think that seems to have an impact on the mayor and the administration. They might not like it, but at the same time, they know folks are watching them and holding them accountable. And that's that's what I'm going to continue to do. I know that's what Councilor Whitfield and Councilor Davila are going to continue to do.
Let me just throw something in, Tracye. I'm going to add a little piece onto what Justin said. Don't just call, email dsarno@springfieldcityhall.com. And when you email the mayor's office, CC the Republican, Point of View, the Reminder newspaper, the Metro Record. Again, if you really want something to happen, send him the email, dsarno@springfieldcityhall.com, and CC the Republican, Mass Live, Point of View, Metro Record, and any other media outlet you can do. Otherwise, what happens, those emails fall on deaf ears. He barely sees them. So make sure you CC the press to ensure that people know that you're calling in and you want to get your message across and that you're serious about it. The other piece is, on November 2nd, there's an election coming up. I can't endorse anyone on this particular radio show because this is 90.7 WTCC. This is not an endorsement show. This is about a public issue. It's a public concern. And when they say they're making noise, translation, they're blowing the trumpets and they're ringing the alarm and letting you know that there's something significant that you need to be aware of. The other piece is, as you look at all the candidates who are running for city council, you need to know who's on top of these issues. You need to know who sides with the administration in terms of this particular injustice. And you need to hold them accountable. You need to let the mayor know you're not supporting their people. And you support the folks who have been fighting for you. What good is an elected official if you're not going to vote for someone who's going to take that risk, put their name out there, and you not come out and show up and vote for them? The other thing you need to do is support your candidates financially, because we have to remember that some of these folks are working as a machine. They have tons of funds behind them, and we got to keep the people in office who are going to continue to ring the alarm for us. So I just had to throw that out there. That's coming from me. I'm letting you know there's an election coming, and in 2023 the mayor is up for re-election. And don't think I'm saying this because he fired me, because by doing that he did me a favor. So what I'm saying is we need to look at the candidates who will be running, and we need to make sure that this dude know that there are viable alternatives out there. We can't talk about economic development, we can't talk about public safety, we can't talk about housing, workforce development if we're not aptly compensating our educators, because everything begins and ends with the school system. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. You guys are the experts.
That's correct.
You are correct. I wanted to just answer her question about audit. Yes, if we feel the money is not being spent fairly, equitably, we can. Justin is the head of the audit committee, and he has done some audits, and we still got some audits going on right now on some situations that we feel weren't handled appropriately, and so we can do an audit of the funds and the process if we think there's anything going on behind the scenes. Another thing is just to hold them accountable. We do have weekly finance subcommittee meetings specifically for ARPA funds on Thursdays at 4:45. So if anyone wants to watch those, they can see how the money is being spent. We ask very specific questions. Councilor Davila is also on the subcommittee, the finance subcommittee. So we ask very specific questions about the ARPA fund. Ever since that $2.7 million was spent on the building, and we had no clue that was happening, we decided that we wanted to make sure that we are abreast of what's happening with this money. Because at the end of the day, although the mayor can say where it's going, he doesn't own it. This isn't his bucket of money to spend on whatever he wants, to help whoever he wants. No. And so, like Councilor Hurst said, and like Daryl said, if we don't make the noise, we meaning me and you, then it's just going to continue. The cycle is just going to continue. And I feel it's been happening for far too long. And that is the reason I will continue to make noise. And, you know, everybody's not going to like the noise that is made. Everybody's not going to like my particular method, but that's not going to stop me from being who I am.
We wouldn't want you any other way, Counselor. All right, listen, I have another interview coming up. Any closing thoughts, Justin, Victor, Tracye? Anything else you want to add?
I would just echo what you were saying, Daryl, and my colleagues were saying. If you don't like what you're seeing, email the mayor, DSARN at Springfield City Hall. Do talk to your ward councilor, to your councilors. Ask them specifically questions, because, you know, Daryl, I'm the type of person that I'm pretty easygoing. But when it's on, it's on. If we're going to fight, we're going to fight. And it has personally bothered me that we are out there and we are fighting for justice, for righteousness. And some of our colleagues, God bless them, criticize us and send letters saying that we were being irresponsible. So, you know, if you want to call me responsible for fighting for righteousness, for fighting for merit pay, that's on you. But now some of them are saying, I support merit pay. So, you know, you can't be on the side, on the fence on this. No, you don't get on the fence and say you're fighting. If you're gonna fight, you gotta be in the ring. And so, ask your counselor. Don't be afraid to ask them, because this is serious. Like Councilor Whitfield said, the money doesn't belong to them, and we need to make sure that this money is put to wise use, and that it gets into people's pocket, because we are this pandemic has shown the true inequalities and inequities that we have in our system. Two, has not only created a health problem, it also created a mental health problem. By the way, a mental health problem among kids that we are not talking about. And three, a huge financial crisis, which we are not even close to solving. So, no, we are going to make the noise. We are going to continue And and finally, I just want to ask the people on the show to please pray for me, that I could continue and get the good Lord give us the strength and to be a fighter and to continue to be a fighter.
All right. I like your style, Victor. I like
Yeah, and
fighting too.
I'll close it up.
Go ahead, Justice.
I'll close it up, D.Moss, just by saying we can't fight if we're not in office. And I think
Say that. Hold on. Say that one more time, nice and clear for everybody. Say it.
I said we cannot fight if we are not in office, and so it's incumbent upon everybody that is listening. If they like what they see, then they ought to do accordingly. One of the biggest blessings that I've had since I've been on the council is having Councilor Whitfield and Councilor Davila to be there and fight in the war room. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. I mean, it's extremely difficult when it's just one person there, and their presence has helped immensely. And if you don't think so, you ask the mayor and his staff, because I know they're about as tired of us as anyone else on the council. And for me, that means it's working. So please continue to support my colleagues as much as you can, and make sure to reach out and advocate for what it is that you think is right, especially as it relates to merit pay in our school system.
All right. Thank you. Tracye, anything? Or are you done?
I'm pretty done, but I like what Councilor Davila said now. Writing letters saying that we're not doing the right thing, saying they need more time to discuss this merit pay when they've been discussing this since the beginning of April, and now it's July and it's August and still nothing has come about for the firefighters, not a fair contract. No, it's time to fight at that point. And so I encourage my colleagues to do a little bit more of the fighting that we're doing, and the silence isn't fair for our community, and so we're here to work for our community. They vote us in, guys. Vote people in who's going to do the work, and that is Councilor Hurst, that is Councilor Davila. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm learning so much from these two, and just having that support system has been wonderful. And so thank you, D.Moss, for even giving us this platform to speak our truth. Because some platforms, you feel a little bit nervous about speaking your truth, but I do feel comfortable, and I always am so gracious that you give us the invitation to do that.
All day, you got it. And just a reminder, folks, don't just send emails. If you're gonna send the email, please CC the press. CC Mass Live, The Republican, Western Mass News, Channel 22, Point of View, Metro Record, anybody who will listen. That way people know that you have called the office. You can call all day long, and the media will never know that there's an issue. You send an email, it's documented, they can't delete them. If you CC the press, then hopefully Doug Hook and the rest of them, Stephanie Berry, can write a decent article on what's going on. But they can't do it if you don't notify them. You are a voter, you are a taxpayer, whatever the case may be, let your voice be heard. These folks are fighting, but again, they can't win a war by themselves. Without your support, without the general public getting involved in this process, there is no process. That's all I'm gonna say. Victor, Justin, Tracye, thank you guys so much for coming on and talking with us. If you want to come back on as a follow-up to see what happens, if another issue come up, we're here. It's about accountability and transparency, and I'm here for it. This is Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good.
Thank you.
All right, folks.